Hi students, today I will take the class of class 7 computer. As it is the first day, today I will teach the chapter 1, that is hardware components of a computer system. In the first page we have page number 7, we have a get going. So everyone take your pencil in the hand and get ready. Here we have to take the embedded computers. Telephone is an embedded computer. Microwave is an embedded computer. Digital watch is an embedded computer. Washing machine is an embedded computer. So take this 4 pictures. Now, talking about computer system. Computer system is a very complex system. It consists of basically 2 parts. The hardware that we can feel or touch and the software that we cannot see, but all the working whatever we need from the hardware or the working of the hardware is rather dependent on the software. So the basic two parts of the computer system are hardware and software. Now both this hardware and software work together to change the input data to output after processing the input. Data that we give into the computer can be a character, can be a text, can be a word, can be a number, can be a picture, can be a video, maybe a image, etc. Whenever this data is inserted into the computer knows that something to be done on this data, whatever the system has got as input. After they got it, they process those data to a meaningful order, to make it a meaningful order, and this meaningful output is called the information that is given to the user or may be stored inside the computer system or inside the storage system for future use. Next we are talking about the data processing. Whenever this data processing comes, we have learned a small topic that is called the IPO cycle or IPO model, that is the input process output model in the earlier days, maybe in class 2 or 3. So this input process output cycle is nothing but to whatever the computer get the input, they process that data. Either it gives the output to the user or it stored inside the computer storage system. So computer get the input from the input devices like keyboard and mouse, and this input is given to the computer for processing and then store it into the storage system. Next, processing. Whenever the computer system gets an input, it knows that certain work to be done on this input. That instruction is also given to the computer to process that data and give a meaningful output, that is information. Last one is the output. The processed data that is sent back to the user or may be stored in the computer is called the output, and this output is always shown in the output devices like the printer or the monitor. Now this cycle you understand: input, process, output, and input devices are keyboard and mouse. Processing is done inside the CPU and the output is given to the monitor or printer, and if it is stored inside the storage system, we have the hard disk, CD, pen drive, etc. Now the instructions and data are stored in the computer memory. So we can say that the data processing requires an input device, a processing device, a memory to store data, and an output device. These 4 things are very important in the computer system. These components are collectively known as computer hardware. Now we are getting inside the computer hardware. Before that, a little bit I will say about the software. What is software? Hardware cannot work on its own. It always needs some instruction. The data and instruction given to the computer to make the hardware work is called the software. Software is the part of the computer that we cannot touch. For example, the song stored on the CD as the software which we can hear but we cannot touch. That song is called the software. Now next, hardware. In this chapter, basically we will learn about the different hardwares, the internal hardware and the external hardware. The parts of the computer that we can feel, touch are called the hardware. Some of these parts can be seen outside the CPU box. These are called the external hardware. They are attached with cable to the CPU box. They are also known as this external hard disk. External hardwares are also known as peripheral devices. For example, the input devices like the keyboard, mouse, microphone, scanner, etc. and the output devices like the monitor, printer, speaker, projector. These things are always connected to the CPU box using certain cables. Storage system devices like the CD, DVD, pen drive are also the part of the external hardware components. Some parts are fixed inside the CPU box that cannot be seen. They are called the internal hardware, like the CPU, the motherboard, the CD DVD drive, modem, different ports, sound and video cards, graphics card, etc. Now in this chapter, we will first learn about the internal hardware, then we will learn about the external hardware. Now first we are talking about the internal hardware. In the internal hardware, we have the motherboard, the most important part of the computer system. This motherboard has, which is a PCB, printed circuit board. Most of the internal component of a computer are housed in the motherboard, so it is called the most important part of the internal hardware or the computer system. This PCB, printed circuit board, is in the motherboard. This include the CPU, Central Processing Unit, the memory card, the sound, graphics and video cards. This also contains the ports. Now what are the different ports? External devices are connected to the computer using certain cables to the CPU box. Ports are the different slots of the motherboard where the different external devices are connected to it, like the monitor, microphone, speaker, etc. Different devices are connected in different slots. So for each device, certain slots are already made for it. Next, ports are of different types. Just now I said. So first comes the serial port. It is used for connecting external modem and computer mouse, which are of a bit old version. This transfers the data slowly and rather bit by bit. Next comes the parallel port. It used for scanners and printers. This port transfer 8 bits of data at a time. Please underline this. Serial port transfer the data bit by bit, and the parallel port transfer the data 8 bits per 8 bits of data at a time. Next port is PS2 port. It is used for connecting the old computer keyboards and mouse to the CPU cabinet. Universal Serial Bus USB port. It is used to connect all types of external USB device such as the external hard disk, the printer, the scanner, the mouse, the keyboard, the joystick, the projector, etc. It was specially introduced in the year 1997. So underline the examples as well as the year it was introduced. Now next is the FireWire port. FireWire port. So it is used to connect the camcorders and the video equipments to the computer as it transfers large amount of data at very high speed. Next is modem port. It is used to connect the computer's modem to the telephone network. VGA port. It connects the monitor to the computer's video card. It has 15 hole. Underline it, VGA port has 15 hole. It is similar to the serial port, but it has holes where the serial ports has the pins. Ethernet port. It connects the computer to network and high speed internet. This port is found on an Ethernet card. Power connector. It is the three-pronged plug to connect the computer's power cable with the main power or the UPS. The last one is the digital video interface port, that is the DVI port. It is used to connect the flat panel LCD monitor to the computer's high-end video graphics card. So these are the different ports we get in the motherboard, different slots to connect the internal, external hardware to the computer system. Next, coming to the processor. Now this processor is the computer chip that carry out the instruction given by the computer programmer. The processor is a personal computer or embedded in small device called the microprocessor. Underline the word microprocessor. Last year also you have already learned about this definition of microprocessor. This means all the elements of the processor are contained inside one single integrated circuit IC chip. Next is modem. Modem stands for modulator demodulator. It is a device that helps the computer to transmit data using cable or telephone line. The data in a computer is stored in a digital form using 0 and 1, while the data is transmitted in analog form in telephone or cable line. Thus, a modem helps to convert the digital data to analog and also the vice versa of the form. It may be internal, the modem may be internal or external too. And external modem is attached to the computer through a port, while an internal modem is fixed inside the motherboard slot. Now these are all the. Now we will talk about the internal storage. First we have the RAM, that is random access memory. It stores the data and instruction needed during any particular program execution. It can be accessed by the CPU directly. The CPU continuously read the instruction stored here and execute them as required. The stored data is lost when the computer is switched off. Thus, RAM is also called a volatile memory. It is also known as a read-write memory, as the data can be write on it and also read from it. It is very small in size, lightweight and also quite expensive one. It is mainly used to view data or work with different applications at the same time. The more RAM we have, more windows and more processor can be opened simultaneously and the system does not hang very easily if we have the high volume of the RAM. Next, coming to ROM, read-only memory. It basically stores the instruction when we need to switch on the instruction to switch on the computer, or rather to start the computer. It stores the instruction to start up the computer. It stores the program BIOS, which is required to initially boot the system. BIOS full form is Basic Input Output System, is a program which the microprocessors use to get the computer system started when it is turned on. The content of ROM is non-volatile, where the content of RAM is volatile. Next, coming to the hard disk. Hard disk is a type of permanent storage system. Hard disk retain the data inside it even if the computer is turned off or the power cut is there. Data can be lost if the hard disk is broken or may be corrupted. Next we are coming to CD or DVD drive. This slot is also there inside the motherboard. The CD or DVD drive is the drive that is used for read or write the CD and DVD as well. This drive use laser beam to read and write on it. They may be only read-only drive too, which can only be used for reading but not for writing. They are connected to the motherboard using cables. Now coming to the SMPS, switched mode power supply. It uses a switching regulator to control and stabilize the output voltage by switching the load of current on and off. Its job is to convert the wall storage AC power to lower storage DC power. So underline this last line, the basic requirement of SMPS is to convert the wall storage AC power to lower voltage DC power. Next is power cable. These cables are connected to the power supply unit and the power of the motherboard. Next is the graphics card. There are different slots for the graphics card. The graphic components are rather placed on the separate card which are fixed into a slot on the motherboard. They control and enhance the graphics of the system. The graphic means the pictures, the videos, the programs, the animations, the 3D effects of the particular program. And they have their own fans, as this type of cards get heated very quickly and need to be cooled down instantly. Next is the sound card. A sound card is another expensive card or the IC for producing sound on the computer, which can be heard through speakers or headphones. They are also known as an audio output device, soundboard or audio card. Underline these three names of the sound card: audio output device, soundboard or audio card. They may also be built in on the motherboard. Next is SSD, solid state drives. It is a storage device containing non-volatile flash memory. It is used in place of hard disk because of its high speed. Data is stored on interconnected flash memory chips because they are of very high speed rather than the hard disk. Last is the fan. The fan inside a computer sucks the cool air into the CPU cabinet and blow out the hot air inside it to stop the component from overheating. Fans require regular cleaning as they can stop working if they become clogged with dust. So the fan also plays an important role in the computer system. So we need to clean all the parts, because as it is taking the air from outside, dust may come and clog the fan. So we should clean the fan to keep it working as we need. So till here I have explained all the parts of the computer rather than the internal hard disk. So please go through the internal hard disk. So go through the chapter. Very important parts are there. Whatever I told you to underline, learn those things clearly, and also go through the chapter at least for 4 or 5 times. Now, after finishing the chapter, everyone I request to write the let's recap of page number 13 in the computer CW copy. As the school reopen, I will check whether everyone has written it or not. But after writing, everyone will also learn the let's recap of page number 13. Next class, I will show you the book exercise and the question answer. So by that time, everyone will read the chapter 4 to 5 times, learn the let's recap, write it in the CW copy once. So till that time, stay at home, stay safe. Bye bye.